live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
A pleasant evening and a warm welcome to the National News of Rupavahini. I'm Delanjali Ananda. Joining me is Nikit Karunaratna. First off, let's take a look at the headlines which have made headlines today. Curfew enforced until 7 a.m. tomorrow. President urges the public to remain calm and stop violent acts of revenge. Speaker requests President to convene the Parliament immediately. Attorney General instructs the IGP to conduct an urgent and efficient probe over yesterday's incident. 8 deaths reported from the disruptive situation occurred in various parts of the country. Assaults on the residences of several politicians. The government is urged by the rest of the world to take legal action against perpetrators connected to Golf-Face assault. Reports over the alleged involvement of prison inmates for the agitations are baseless, Prison Commissioner General emphasizes. Ukraine says it will battle against Russia until the last standing soldier. Now for those and other stories in detail. The island-wide police curfew will remain enforced until 7 a.m. Thursday the 12th.
The relevant curfew has been imposed under Section 16 of the Public Security Ordinance. Accordingly, the President's Media Division has informed that no person is allowed to be on any public road, railway, public park, public recreation ground or other public ground or the seashore except under the authority of a written permit granted by an authorized officer. Meanwhile, Inspector General of Police directed the DIG in charge of Criminal Investigation Department to initiate a probe into the incidents that occurred at the Golf-Face Green yesterday and to take necessary legal actions accordingly. Police Media Division issuing a statement has said that an investigation has been initiated over the unruly behavior of a mob of agitators near Temple Trees. The statement has further indicated that a mob of agitators who had arrived near the Temple Trees in support of the former Prime Minister had behaved in a violent manner against the peaceful protesters camped in front of the premises and caused damages to properties at the site. Also, the Police Media Division has indicated that investigations are underway over the assault on the peaceful protesters in front of the Presidential Secretariat by the agitators and causing damages to nearby properties. A protest was held in front of the Trincomalee Eastern Command Naval Base. The protest was held alleging that former Prime Minister is staying at the base premises. Meanwhile, senior DIG in charge of Western Province, Deshabandhu Tennakon, was assaulted at Colombo, Navamavata area today.
Now, Defence Ministry says an order has been issued for the armed forces to open fire at those who are involved in looting public property or causing harm to others. In a statement, Defence Secretary retired Major General Kamal Gunaratne made remarks over the issued order. Defence Secretary retired Major General Kamal Gunaratne said that the armed forces and the police have a duty and responsibility to safeguard the security of the public by ensuring law and order in the country. He also said that it is their duty to create an environment for all citizens to enjoy freedom. Therefore, he urged the public to extend their support in fulfilling this duty. He also said that certain youth segments are engaging in antisocial behaviors without adhering to curfew and the emergency law enforced in the country. He added that the youth in the country are engaging in a peaceful protests and certain sections are allegedly taking advantage of these efforts to engage in unruly acts. The Defence Secretary requested the religious leaders to advise them over the protection of law and order in the country. If certain sections tend to behave in an unruly manner and cause damages to public property and inflict harm on others, then the Defence Secretary said that the police and the armed forces will be compelled to take stern legal actions. Accordingly, he said that measures will be taken to implement the law in a stern manner against those who resort to violence without allowing peaceful protesters to engage in protests within peaceful means.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa urges the public to remain calm and refrain from engaging in acts of violence and revenge. The president made these remarks in a tweet today.
Taking to his official Twitter account, the president has said that acts of violence and revenge should be stopped against all citizens irrespective of political affiliations. He has further indicated that all efforts will be made to restore political stability through consensus within the constitutional mandate and to resolve the economic crisis.
Speaker Mahindayappa Abeyewardena has requested the president to convene the parliament urgently. The request has been made with the intention to reach a decision over the prevailing situation in the country. The Cabinet of Ministers has been dissolved following the resignation of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa yesterday. Accordingly, the power vested with the Speaker to convene the Parliament at any occasion has also been revoked. However, steps have to be taken to appoint a new Prime Minister, Leader of the House and Chief Whip of the ruling party. Subsequently, the President will be able to convene the Parliament. Meanwhile, the Speaker had called a party leaders' meeting today. The Attorney General has instructed in a letter to the IGP to conduct an immediate, fully fledged investigations over the incidents of unlawful interference into people's constitutional rights and circumstances that led to them.
These remarks were shared in a statement based on a letter issued through the Attorney General's office. The Attorney General has mentioned in his statement that the unlawful interference on the peaceful assemblies of protest by a large group of people on May 9th in Colombo is in breach of the Constitution and the penal laws. The unlawful interference was seen to have been carried out in the form of physical assault of serious nature, causing bodily injury to those who engaged in the exercise of their constitutional freedoms. The Attorney General has said that the incidents occurred in Colombo, triggering sporadic acts of violence and serious nature involving people and their properties all over the country. The Attorney General has pointed out that the main incident as well as the aftermath of the incidents should be investigated, considering domestic and international ramifications that surround these incidents. The Attorney General has urged the IGP to complete investigations on urgent priority basis.
Many vehicles and other properties were seen vandalized and set on fire in the Colombo area following the disruptions and violent incidents which occurred in Colombo and the surrounding Temple Trees premises yesterday. The Samagi Jana Balawegaya says that all necessary support will be provided to implement law over the violent incident occurred at the Golface Green. The party has requested the public to act in a peaceful and responsible manner at this junction. MP Nalin Bandara said that the prevailing situation should be controlled in order to avert the destabilization of the country. He said that the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and his co-resigned had left yesterday. He also urged that the President should make a statement and resign from his post tomorrow. He added that the Samagi Jana Balawegaya will not consider an interim government until the resignation of the President. Therefore, he said that the country should be handed over to the public, which will lead to stability. He added that a program for a limited time frame will be prepared until a date for the next election is declared. 8 deaths have been reported from the violent incidents which occurred as a result of the disruptive situations that arose in various parts of the country yesterday.
Also, incidents related to vandalizing and setting fire to properties of many politicians have been reported. 219 persons were injured from the incident occurred at the Golface Green, and they were admitted to the National Hospital and Colombo South Teaching Hospital.
The residence and the office of former State Minister Siripala Gamlat in Giritale, Polonnaruwa was attacked, and the office has been completely destroyed after it was set on fire. The residence of former Minister Ramesh Pathirana in Kitulampitiya, Galle has been torched. An attack was carried out on the residence of parliamentarian Mohan P. De Silva near Sangamitta College in Galle. An attack was launched on the residence of Galle Mayor Priyantha Sahabandhu as well. Also, former Minister Dinesh Gunawardana's house in Boralugoda, Kosgama has been torched as well. The house, allegedly belonging to former Minister Basil Rajapaksa in Malvana, Gampaha, was also vandalized. The residence of former Minister Chandima Veerakkodi in Hapugala, Galle, was also torched. The house of Chairman of Balapitiya Pradeshiya Sabha, Saman De Silva, has been attacked. The residence of the chairman of Imaduwa Pradeshiya Sabha was also attacked, and he had succumbed from a sudden illness during this incident. The house of chairman of Bope Poddala Pradeshiya Sabha, Dilruk Abekhong, was vandalized. A bar and 2 hotels belonging to Ambalangoda Pradeshiya Sabha chairman Aruna Pradeep have also been vandalized yesterday. The residence belonging to former Minister Vidura Vikramanayaka in Millania, Horana, has been vandalized, and the vehicles at the residence were damaged. The residence of the Horana mayor, Vitanage Siritunga, was also vandalized by the agitators. The residence of Ampara parliamentarian W.D. Veerasinghe has been completely torched. Meanwhile, Ampara Mayor Kalum Kumara's residence has also been torched. Residence of former Minister Keheliya Rambukwalla in Kandy was set on fire yesterday. The residence belonging to former Minister Kanaka Herath has been torched, and the litro gas distribution vehicles belonging to the former minister have also been damaged. Attacks were launched on former Minister Gamini Lokuge's residence as well as the houses belonging to his siblings. Two houses belonging to parliamentarian Nimal Lanza in Nigambo area have also been vandalized. The residence of former Minister Prasanna Ranatunga in Minuangoda has been torched as well. The office and a hotel belonging to former Minister S.M. Chandrasena in Kurundankulama, Anuradhapura have been vandalized. The office of the former Minister Professor Channajaya Sumana, which was situated near Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital, and the residence of former Minister Shehan Semasinghe in Anuradhapura have also been vandalized. Former State Minister Duminda Dissanayaka's residence was also attacked. Former Chief Minister of North Central Province S.M. Ranjit's office was attacked as well. Reports have indicated that a house and a hotel belonging to Shaman Jnana, who was maintaining a Devalaya in Anuradhapura, have also been vandalized and torched. Properties of former state ministers of Puttalam district, Sanat Nishanta and Ashoka Priyanta, were severely damaged and torched. Residences of former ministers Johnston Fernando, Nalaka Godaheva, Bandula Gunavarthana, Kanchana Vijayasekara and parliamentarians Shanta Bandara, Arundika Fernando, Tissa Kuttiarachi and Anupa Pascal were vandalized. The D.A. Rajapaksa monument in Madamulana, Veerakatiya, was destroyed last night. 2 persons were killed from a gun shooting which occurred following a disruptive situation at the premises. Parliamentarian Kumara Valgama, who was attacked near the entrance of the expressway in Kottava yesterday, is receiving treatments in the intensive care unit of the Homagama hospital. Meanwhile, 219 persons who had sustained injuries from the incidents that occurred at the Galface Green yesterday were admitted to the National Hospital and the Colombo South Teaching Hospital. The injured persons are still receiving treatments at the hospital. Meanwhile, 8 deaths were reported from the violent incidents which occurred across the country yesterday, and a person who was admitted to the National Hospital after sustaining injuries at Galface Green was also among the tally. The Criminal Investigation Department has initiated an investigation over the incident that took place at the Galface Green yesterday. A group of officers of the CID visited the spot for an inquiry this evening. The police directed its attention over various aspects, including the torching of temporary camps at the protest site, damages, and the manner which the assault was carried out.
Today is the 32nd day of the peaceful protest underway in front of the Presidential Secretariat at Galface Green. Various groups from across the country have arrived at the site to engage in the protest. Various groups arrived last night and joined the protests underway in front of the Presidential Secretariat. People arrived at the site this morning also joined the protest. Large groups of people are remaining at the protest site at present.
The relevant Gazette notification over the resignation of the former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa was issued last night. The relevant Gazette was issued under the signature of the Secretary to the President, Gamini Senerath. People continued to engage in protests in front of the temple trees last night as well. The security forces shot to the sky in several locations in an attempt to disperse the aggressive crowds. Military as well as the police were deployed for the security along the Gaul Road. The police and the security forces were able to remove the agitated crowds within a couple of hours. Former Prime Minister left the temple trees this morning. Former Auditor General Kamini Vijay says that a new political culture should be created with the prevailing situation in the country.
He urged the public not to engage in disruptive and violent acts. The former Auditor General made these remarks to media in Polonnaruwa today. Former Auditor General Kamini Vijay shared his regret over the assault on the protest. He said that the governing authorities would have avoided such implications if they had listened to the religious leaders and various other experts over the prevailing issue. He added that this opportunity should be converted into a roadmap to remove this political system from the country. However, he said that this effort should be done peacefully and patiently. He urged the public not to engage in violent acts to inflict harm on both citizens and public properties. He also said that officials who have failed to take legal actions appropriately should be penalized.
A group of lawyers has requested the government to conduct a fully fledged investigation over the assault occurred at the Golface Green yesterday. They made remarks to the media in this regard. A group of lawyers representing Samagi Jana Balavegya lodged this complaint to the police headquarters. Attorney-at-Law Kamal Vijay said that various numbers of crimes under assault, inflicting damages, intimidation and other heinous crimes have occurred. Accordingly, he said that the relevant complaint was lodged against those who conspired, empowered and participated in these crimes.
Now, Prisons Commissioner General Tushara Upuldennia dismissed reports circulating on social media over the alleged involvement of inmates at Vataraka prison in a protest as baseless. He requested the public to hand over such inmates to the nearest police or the prison. Prisons Commissioner General Tushara Upuldennia said that a project has been initiated at the Vataraka prison to provide vocational training for the inmates. He added that inmates are employed in construction companies in Colombo and they are returned to the prison in the evening after work. He further added that these inmates also receive a payment for their work. He said that the 9 inmates in Vataraka prison had been sent to 3 private companies to engage in relevant work. However, he said that following the declaration of the curfew, steps were taken to return the inmates back to the prison. One of the buses carrying the inmates had been attacked in Talahena area. He further said that wrong information had been circulated on social media.
Many countries and agencies across the world have issued official messages over the situation that occurred in the country yesterday. Also, various international news outlets shared reports over the incident as well. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has said that the prevailing situation in Sri Lanka should be resolved through negotiations. Deputy media spokesman of the Secretary-General Farhan Haq made these remarks yesterday. He had further said that all stakeholders should get together and find solutions required for the nation as well as its citizens. Meanwhile, many countries and global agencies have condemned and shared their displeasure over the attacks carried out against peaceful protests in Gulf-Face Green yesterday. In a tweet, permanent representative of the United Nations to Sri Lanka, Hannah Singh, has condemned the violent acts and disruptive behavior which instigated the prevailing situation. She has further indicated that the police should safeguard the peaceful protesters utilizing the existing emergency law. Indian External Affairs Ministry has made a clarification of its stance regarding the situation in Sri Lanka. The statement has indicated that India will support the democracy, stability and economic recovery of Sri Lanka. The statement has further indicated that India will always be guided by the best interests of the people of Sri Lanka. The US State Department has said that the United States is watching the ongoing developments in Sri Lanka very closely, following the attacks on peaceful protesters. In a tweet, the US State Department has urged the public to commit in overcoming political, economic challenges in Sri Lanka. US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Julie Chung, has also shown her displeasure over the assault on the peaceful protesters. In a tweet, she has urged the government to conduct a complete investigation and bring those who were responsible for the incident before the law. Issuing a tweet, the European Union has also condemned the situation which took place in Sri Lanka yesterday morning. The European Union has urged the Sri Lankan government to arrest those who were responsible for the incident. British High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Sarah Hulton, has strongly condemned the violence against peaceful protesters. She has emphasized that the Sri Lankan authorities have a responsibility to safeguard citizens' rights to protest peacefully and to hold perpetrators. Human Rights Watch has also emphasized that the Sri Lankan government has a responsibility to safeguard the right of people to engage in peaceful protests. Meanwhile, the situation occurred in the country yesterday became headline news for many foreign news outlets. Many news outlets have reported over the resignation of the Prime Minister in the face of people's protests and the attacks on the peaceful protesters. Also, the vandalizing of properties belonging to parliamentarians was also highlighted in many foreign reports.
Now, Venerable Dr. Omar Pesobithatera says that security divisions failed to take any action to prevent the inhumane assault on the peaceful protests in Gulf-Face Green. The Thera made these remarks at a media briefing held in Colombo today. Venerable Dr. Omar Pesobithatera said that the peaceful and unarmed protesters were attacked by violent and armed agitators yesterday. He said that the security forces failed to take any measures to prevent the assault. However, he said that world media saw from where these agitators arrived at the protest site. Now, Sri Lanka Freedom Party condemns with utmost displeasure over the attacks on peaceful and non-violent protesters.
The party, issuing a statement, has indicated that a peaceful gathering in the country expressing opinions and views and raising objections by the community or party are a right to be ensured through the Constitution. The effort taken to find solutions for the persisting issues through a new government formed with the participation of all political parties is in the verge of being successful. Sri Lanka Freedom Party has said that the legal action should be taken against the perpetrators who vandalized temporary sheds and carried out an attack on the unbiased protesters. National People's Power has vehemently condemned the attack on unarmed people who were engaged in peaceful protests in Gulf-Face Green and in front of the temple trees. The statement issued by the National People's Power has urged the security forces to apprehend the perpetrators and bring them before the law. They have requested the people to refrain from taking part in such unruly acts, as such violence would not serve the objectives of the protests but of those who are in the effort to subdue it. Meanwhile, Free Media Movement in a statement has said that journalists are among those who were injured during the attacks and certain entities had assaulted by targeting them. Free Media Movement has said that the Gall-Faced Green protest attracted the attention of the international news outlets as a non-violent and creative struggle. Hence, this effort of the people can be considered as a peaceful struggle. We'll be back with foreign news after this short break.
Prima Kotumi, Bantamai.
நாடு விட்டு நாடு சென்று நாளும் முளைத்த பணத்தை வீட்டுக்கு அனுப்பும் போது பரிசு குவியல்கள்.
நீங்கள் வெளிநாட்டிலிருந்து அனுப்பும் பணத்தினை மக்கள் வங்கிக்கு அனுப்பினால் பரிசு குவியல்கள். பீப்பிள்ஸ் ரெமிட்டன்ஸ் கோடி அதிர்ஷ்டம். அனுப்புங்கள், வெல்லுங்கள்.
Welcome back on Foreign News. Ukraine officials say more than 1,000 Ukrainian troops, many of them injured, are still stuck in the sprawling Azovstal steel works in the southern port city of Mariupol. The steel plant is under heavy Russian fire following civilian evacuations last week, and at least 100 civilians are still thought to be trapped there. The Ukrainian official said that hundreds are injured and there are people with serious injuries who require urgent evacuation. Meanwhile, Russian forces have thwarted several attempts by Ukrainian troops in the past 2 days to recapture Snake Island in the Black Sea, the Russian Defense Ministry has said. The ministry says Ukraine has made several desperate attempts to land air and sea assaults on the Snake Island.
Prima Kotumi, Bantamai.
On sports, it's cricket and it's about the IPL which is held in Mumbai, and Kolkata Knight Riders became victorious over the Mumbai Indians yesterday's match.
Join us again tomorrow. Good night.